Deuteronomy chapter 24, verses 1 through 4. And this is a bill of divorcement. And so this is in the Old Testament. And so in verse 1 here it says, when a man hath taken a wife and married her, and it come to pass that she find no favor in his eyes, because he have found some uncleanness in her, then let him write her a bill of divorcement, and give it in her hand, and send her out of his house. And when she is departed out of his house, she may go and be another man's wife. And if the latter husband hate her, and write her a bill of divorcement, and give it in her hand, and send it her out of his house, or if the latter husband die, which took her to be his wife, her former husband, which sent her away, may not take her again to be his wife. After that, she is defiled, for that is an abomination before the Lord. And thou shalt not cause the land to sin, which the Lord thy God giveth thee for an inheritance. And so here in this verse, this came up in our morning devotion live that we just completed. So I wanted to go back and answer Little Soon, Lil, and then Soum. I wanted to answer his question, but if anyone else had some concerns, because he mentioned about the divorce. And so here it's in Deuteronomy 24, verses 1 through 4. And so, in verse 1, divorce is the result of human sin. Matthew 19:8. Okay. And the instructions in verses 1 through 4, what I'm sharing with you, they were guidelines given by God to regulate divorce in ancient Israel. Now, the following concerning these verses, the term uncleanness, it probably refers to disgraceful or immoral conduct that is less serious than adultery. Now, it cannot refer to adultery because the penalty for adultery back then was death. It wasn't divorce. It was death. If you go back to also Deuteronomy chapter 22, verses 13 through 22. And so at that time, if there was some adultery, yes, that person was stoned to death. It was not about divorce. It was about death. And so also the bill of divorcement was a legal document given to the woman in order to break the marriage covenant. Because, when you enter into a marriage, you're entering into a marriage covenant. And so it was to protect her also and release her from an obligation to her former husband. Now, after receiving the certificate of divorce, the woman was free to remarry. However, she was never to return to her former husband if her second marriage was terminated, which is in verses 2 through 4 that I've read to you. And then when divorce happens, it is a tragedy. It's a tragedy. It's hard for people to go through a divorce. And you can go and check out Matthew 2, chapter 2, verse 16, and even in here in Genesis chapter 2, verse 24 as well. But it is not a sin if based on biblical grounds. Matthew 19:9. See, that is the thing. A lot of people get divorces, but it is not a sin if it's based on biblical grounds. But if it's not based on biblical grounds, then divorce is a sin. So you have to understand that as well. And about what are, the difference, in that. And then God himself divorced Israel because of its unfaithfulness and spiritual adultery. Isaiah chapter 50. Also in Jeremiah chapter 3. The Lord divorced Israel, if you remember that, because they were unfaithful. They had broken a covenant with the Lord, and they were dwelling around and participating and being around unclean people and places and things like that. So he divorced them. So there you are, for whoever needed to, wanted some information on that in Little Soon. I think that's how I pronounce it. I don't want to mess up your name, but Little and then Soum. And so there you are. And then you can go and look at those other scriptures back, in that I've put out here on that. With that being said, you all, God bless each and every one of you. Love you. Thank you to all my new subscribers. And don't give up. Don't give in. Keep striving. Keep growing closer to the Lord. And keep just, being in his presence. The protection of the Lord is up on you, and that's what you want to have. It's up on us, and that's what you want. So God bless each and every one of you. Bye.